My name is Lyra. I am 25 years old. I live in a big city, in a wonderful house, and I work in a large company. My life looks perfect from the outside, but deep inside, I always felt something was missing. The city lights, noise, and rush never made me feel alive. I wanted peace. I wanted to live in a village, away from everything. I dreamed of waking up to birds instead of traffic, and talking to kind people instead of cold faces. So one day, I made a decision. I left the city. I packed my bags and moved to a small village far away from the noise. I rented a small house there. The house was old but beautiful, surrounded by green fields and a little garden full of wildflowers. The air was clean. The people were kind. Everything felt calm and simple. My landlady was an old woman. Her name was Mrs. Evelyn. She was kind and helpful, always smiling whenever I met her. I loved talking to her. She reminded me of my grandmother. Life there was peaceful, something I always wished for. But there was one thing strange about that village. Every evening, a girl about 15 years old came to my door. She always asked for food. She wore dirty, torn clothes. Her hair was messy, and her face looked tired, but even under all that dirt, I could see she was beautiful. Her eyes were big and deep, but empty, as if she had seen something too painful to talk about. The villagers called her the mad girl. They hated her. Whenever she went to someone's house asking for food, people shouted at her. They threw rotten vegetables or stones and told her to go away. Some said she used to be a prostitute. Others said she had gone mad after losing someone. No one really knew. No one cared. But she never stopped coming to my door. And I never shouted at her. I always gave her food, sometimes bread, sometimes rice, whatever I had. She never said a word, just took the food and went away quietly. One evening, I asked Mrs. Evelyn about her. Why does that girl live like this? I asked. She looks so young. She should be in school, not wandering around like this. Mrs. Evelyn sighed deeply and looked at me for a while before saying, "Lyra, you are new here. You don't know her story. I'm the only one who knows the truth about that poor girl." I became curious. "Please tell me," I said softly. "I really want to know." Before she began, she asked, "Do you know why she always comes to your house to beg for food?" I shook my head. "No, I don't." She smiled sadly. Because you are the only one who gives her food without shouting. You are the only one who treats her like a human. Her words touched me deeply. Then she began telling me the story that broke my heart. Many years ago, Mrs. Evelyn said, that girl had everything. A big house, a loving father, mother, and a little brother. Her father worked hard and gave his family everything they needed. Her mother was gentle and caring. Their life was full of happiness and laughter. But one day, tragedy struck. Her father died suddenly of a heart attack. Her mother was completely broken. She couldn't stop crying for days. She had 2 children to take care of, but she had no strength left. The girl was around 10 years old then, and her brother was only 5. People from the village told her mother to marry again. They said she was still young and needed help to raise her kids. Even her own mother advised her to do so. Finally, after months of pressure and helplessness, she agreed. But the man she married was not like her first husband. He was angry, impatient, and cruel. He often shouted at her and the children for small things. Still, she tried to keep her family together. Then, one day, she died. Some said her new husband killed her. Some said she died from sadness, because she could never stop missing her first husband. No one really knew. But after her death, everything changed for the children. The stepfather married again within a week. The new woman was even crueler. She and the man treated the children like servants. They made them work all day and beat them when they disobeyed. One day, the girl woke up and couldn't find her brother. She searched everywhere, crying, calling his name. Finally, she went to her stepfather and stepmother and asked, "Where is my brother?" They told her he had been sent to another country to study. But the girl knew it was a lie. They never cared for him. They never even gave him enough to eat. How could they send him away for studies? She begged them to bring him back, shouting that she would tell the whole village how you behaved with us, and beat us whenever we forgot to do what you told us, and how you sent my brother to another country without even telling me. That night, instead of bringing her brother back, they sold her to human traffickers. She disappeared. No one saw her for 5 years. Then one day, she returned, but she was not the same. Her eyes were lifeless. Her face looked older than her age. The girl who once laughed and played was gone. She had become quiet and broken. She came back only to find her brother, but she discovered that her stepfather and stepmother had already left the village. They sold the house, the land, and everything her real parents owned. From that day, she lost her mind. She started walking from village to village, looking for her brother. Some say she still calls his name in her sleep. She begs for food, not because she wants to live, but because she's still searching, hoping one day she'll see her little brother again. When Mrs. Evelyn stopped talking, my eyes were full of tears. I couldn't speak. I had never heard such a painful story. The girl whom everyone called mad had lived through hell. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking of her, that broken child with lost eyes, wandering alone. I promised myself that I would help her. A few days later, she came again to my house. She stood outside the gate, silently waiting. This time, I didn't just give her food. I called her inside. At first, she was scared. She shook her head and stepped back. "Come in," I said softly. "I won't hurt you." Slowly, she walked in. Her eyes looked confused, afraid, but also curious. I gave her a plate of food and asked her to sit. She started eating quickly, as if she hadn't eaten for days. When she was eating, I said quietly, "I know about you. I know what happened to you. I know about your brother." The girl froze. Her hand stopped. Tears filled her eyes. She didn't speak, but tears rolled down her face silently. I touched her shoulder gently and said, "I will help you. We will find your brother together." She cried for a long time. I held her hand and let her cry. That night was the beginning of something beautiful. Days turned into weeks. I gave her clothes, bathed her, combed her hair, and taught her how to read and write. She slowly started trusting me. Her smile returned, little by little. I decided to take her with me to the city. In the city, I found her a small room near mine. I helped her get used to life again, how to talk, how to work, how to be confident. She learned fast. I helped her get a job at the same company where I worked. 10 years passed. The girl who was once called mad now worked proudly in the company. She dressed neatly, spoke softly, and smiled often. People admired her kindness. And me. I was not alone anymore. She became like my sister. We shared our lives, our joys, and our pain. Sometimes, she still looked out the window quietly, lost in thought, maybe thinking of her brother, but now, she had hope again. I may not have been able to bring her brother back, but I gave her something just as precious, a new life, a reason to live again. And sometimes, when she looks at me with tears in her eyes and says, "Thank you, Lyra," I realize that even a small act of kindness can heal a broken soul. That was the story of a mad girl, but to me, she was never mad. She was just a wounded heart waiting for someone to understand her. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for listening to my story.